The Gates of Wonder, the film begins in silence, broken only by the soft hum of the morning breeze. A drone shot rises above the walls of Vatican City, revealing the heart of the world's smallest state, a place where history and faith intertwine. The first light of dawn paints the sky in golden rose, touching the ancient domes and spires with a gentle radiance. The camera glides slowly toward St. Peter's Basilica, its monumental dome shimmering like a beacon above the eternal city, as the music swells with serene choral harmonies. The shot transitions to the streets surrounding the Vatican, cobblestones damp from morning dew, cafes just beginning to stir, and pilgrims walking in silence, clutching cameras, rosaries, and guidebooks. The air carries a sense of quiet anticipation, as though time itself holds its breath. The scene shifts to the exterior of the Vatican Museums, an architectural masterpiece standing as both fortress and temple. The bronze doors glint under the sunlight, framed by columns and inscriptions that speak of centuries past. A soft lens flare crosses the screen as the doors begin to open, their slow, deliberate movement echoing through the grand entrance. The moment feels ceremonial, a symbolic unveiling of the treasures within. Visitors step inside, their faces illuminated by a soft glow of natural light spilling across marble floors. The camera follows them, capturing reflections in polished stone and the play of light on sculpted details. The atmosphere inside is hushed, sacred, and timeless. In these opening moments, the viewer is transported, not merely entering a museum, but crossing into a world where art becomes prayer and history breathes again. The final frames of this section show a wide shot of the entrance hall, bathed in golden light, rays filter through high windows, scattering across marble statues and frescoed ceilings. The music rises, gentle yet powerful, as the title appears on screen. The Vatican Museums, the Gates of Wonder. The sequence sets the tone for everything that follows. Reverence, and the quiet realization that behind these doors lies not just a collection of art, but the story of human faith, creativity, and the divine. Corridors of time, the camera glides forward into the museum's interior, where the air seems to shimmer with centuries of history. Golden sunlight streams through tall arched windows, falling across polished marble floors that reflect the glow like water. The corridors stretch endlessly, lined with statues that stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time. Their faces worn, cracked, and timeless seem to watch the visitors with quiet understanding, as if aware that they, too, were once alive in another age. As the lens moves gracefully through each hall, ancient Roman busts and Greek gods emerge from the shadows. The sculptures are immaculate veins etched into marble arms, drapery frozen in mid-motion, expressions captured at the edge of life. The sound of faint footsteps echoes softly, mixing with the distant hum of reverence and awe. Every corridor tells a story of emperors, philosophers, and artists whose legacies now rest within these walls. The camera lingers on the details. Carved into stone, the curl of a statue's hair, the delicate fold of a toga, the serene expression of a forgotten goddess. Light flickers across mosaics and frescoes, bringing ancient scenes to life, mythological battles, celestial visions, and triumphs of faith. The walls themselves seem to breathe, layers of paint and plaster, holding whispers of 1,000 hands that shape them, transitioning smoothly. The lens captures the contrast between past and present, a young child gazing up at a Roman statue, a scholar taking notes, an artist sketching in quiet concentration. These small human moments blend with the eternal, reminding us that the museum is not a mausoleum of the dead, but a living dialogue between generations. The music swells gently, carried by strings and faint choir tones, evoking a sense of wonder. As the camera glides down the final hallway, it slows, pausing on a distant doorway bathed in warm light. A caption fades in softly, the sculpture that started it all. The music softens to a low, reverent hum as the camera enters a circular gallery, its walls lined with marble figures bathed in pale light. At the center stands a sculpture that commands silence, Laocoon and his sons. The lens circles slowly around it, revealing every curve, every sinew, every moment of agony frozen in time. The father's face is contorted with defiance and pain, his muscles straining against the coils of serpents that ensnare him and his children. The marble seems alive, trembling under the tension of the story it tells. The light shifts subtly, catching the veins of the stone as if revealing the pulse of the ancient world. The sculpture feels both divine and human, the perfect embodiment of struggle, strength, and fate. Discovered in 1506 in the ruins of a Roman vineyard, this masterpiece became the spark that lit the flame of what would become the Vatican Museums. The camera pans across a faintly lit portrait of Pope Julius II, his gaze resolute, visionary. He recognized in this sculpture something more than beauty, a testament to human endurance and artistic genius that deserved to be preserved forever. The sequence transitions through soft overlays of archival sketches and manuscripts, showing early drawings of the Laocoon by Renaissance artists studying its form. The shot cuts to Michelangelo's eyes in a painted portrait, inspired, calculating, reverent, a subtle nod to how this ancient statue helped shape the Renaissance itself. The marble becomes a teacher, a muse, a symbol of what art could achieve when it reached beyond time. As the camera closes in on the sculpture once more, every detail feels alive, the strained hand reaching outward, the serpent's scales gleaming, the silent cry captured for eternity. Around it, visitors stand still, some whispering, others lost in thought. The atmosphere is almost sacred, not of religion, but of shared human awe. The music deepens, a single violin rising as the camera slowly pulls back, framing the statue in its entirety against the glowing marble walls. A soft line fades onto the screen. A vision takes shape. The screen fades from darkness to a soft golden glow. The camera drifts through grand halls, adorned with marble columns and vaulted ceilings, each echoing with centuries of devotion and discovery. The vision of Pope Julius II has begun to take form. What started with a single sculpture has now become a living sanctuary for the treasures of humanity. The lens glides past Greek gods and Roman emperors, their stone gazes fixed in eternal contemplation. Every gallery tells a new chapter, a dialogue between faith and philosophy, between the divine and the mortal. The sound of distant footsteps mingles with the quiet hum of Gregorian chants, blending the sacred and the artistic into one harmonious space. As the camera moves deeper inside, the viewer witnesses the evolution of the collection: fragments of ancient temples, sarcophagi carved with myths of heroism and love, fresco fragments rescued from time itself. The walls seem to breathe history, their colors warmed by flickering sunlight filtering through high windows. Every artifact speaks not of conquest, but of preservation, of a world determined to remember its roots. A soft montage follows, artists sketching in notebooks, conservators dusting ancient marble, curators studying old manuscripts under lamplight. These fleeting moments reveal the museum not as a relic, but as a living organism, one that grows, evolves, and protects the fragile soul of civilization. The camera pauses on a close-up of an open journal, a Renaissance drawing of the Vatican courtyard. Lines still sharp after centuries. Ink and imagination merge, symbolizing the birth of a universal dream, to gather the beauty of all ages and keep it safe for generations to come. As orchestral music swells gently, the lens pulls back to reveal the vast expanse of the museum's inner courtyard. Sculptures, fountains, and columns illuminated by the afternoon sun. The scene radiates harmony, art, faith, and human achievement woven together into a single, timeless vision. The final shot lingers on a marble inscription carved into the stone. Raphael's Renaissance. The music shifts, strings and choir intertwine, graceful and bright. The camera moves through a grand archway, and suddenly, color floods the screen. The muted tones of marble and stone give way to the vibrant hues of Raphael's rooms, an explosion of art, intellect, and spiritual harmony. Every surface breathes life, every wall tells a story. The lens drifts slowly along the School of Athens, Raphael's immortal masterpiece. Philosophers and scientists gather beneath a majestic vaulted hall. Plato points upward to the heavens, Aristotle gestures toward the earth, and the space between them feels like the meeting point of faith and reason. The figures, though painted centuries ago, seem alive, each movement purposeful, each gaze eternal. The camera lingers on the fine brush, revealing the genius of Raphael's hand, the mastery of light, the balance of color, the dialogue between minds that still echoes across time. Soft choral tones rise as the shot transitions between other frescoes, scenes of the Parnassus, where poets and muses ascend Mount Helic, their forms radiant in divine inspiration, and where heaven and earth meet in a circle of faith. Each painting feels like a universe contained within a single room, theology, philosophy, and poetry blending seamlessly into sacred beauty. Visitors walk slowly beneath the frescoes, their faces glowing in the reflected light of centuries. A child gazes upward, eyes wide with wonder. An artist traces Raphael's lines in a sketchbook. A moment of silence fills the air, as if even time itself is listening. The lens captures the soft interplay of shadow and light across the painted ceilings, then pans down to reveal the gleaming marble floors, mirrors for the colors above. The experience feels dreamlike, suspended between heaven and earth. As the music swells, the camera pulls back to a wide shot of the entire room, sunlight pouring in from tall windows, illuminating Raphael's genius in full. The screen fills with color and light as a simple line fades in. In Raphael's hands, faith found its form, and beauty became eternal. The sound fades to a soft echo, leaving behind the shimmering glow of paint and light, the pure heartbeat of the Renaissance. Before transitioning to the next chapter, the world seen through maps, memory, and discovery. The gallery of maps, asterisk. The scene opens with the gentle sound of footsteps echoing through a vast, golden corridor. The camera glides forward, and the viewer is instantly enveloped in a corridor of shimmering color and celestial light. The gallery of maps. Stretching over 120 meters, this magnificent hallway unfolds like an illuminated manuscript brought to life. The camera moves slowly along the walls, where ancient maps of Italy, painted in vivid blues, greens, and golds, seem to ripple under the soft glow of chandeliers. Mountains rise in delicate brushwork, rivers twist like living veins, and tiny towns shimmer with gilded towers. Each map is a masterpiece, a fusion of art, science, and faith, capturing not just geography, but the Renaissance dream of understanding God's world through human hands. The ceiling above is a vision in gold, vaulted arches adorned with frescoes of saints, angels, and triumphs of discovery. The lens follows the gentle curve of the ceiling, tracing the intricate details that mirror the heavens themselves. Light pours through high windows, illuminating particles of dust that dance like stars suspended in the air. The sequence flows with rhythm. Close-ups of painted coastlines, sweeping shots of the entire gallery, and fleeting glimpses of visitors walking beneath the vaulted ceiling, their faces turned upward in awe. The music is bright yet reverent, a blend of violins and choral voices that evoke wonder and exploration. A slow pan reveals a map of the Italian peninsula, its colors still vibrant after more than 4 centuries. The camera lingers on the hand-painted details, the mountains of the north, the rolling hills of Tuscany, the southern shores kissed by the Mediterranean. It feels as if time itself has been charted, and the viewer is drifting across the centuries like a traveler guided by art. Subtle transitions intercut glimpses of Renaissance astronomers and cartographers. Quills, sketching coastlines, compasses, tracing circles before returning to the present-day visitors who walk those same lines with their eyes. The past and present merge in quiet symmetry. As the music swells, the camera reaches the end of the hall, where sunlight cascades through an open archway, spilling gold across the floor. The view beyond reveals the Vatican gardens, lush and tranquil, a living world beyond the painted one. The section closes with a final line fading onto the screen. Here, art became a map of the divine, a journey through faith, land, and light. The music fades to a gentle silence as the image dissolves, preparing the viewer to step into the next world of woven gold and sacred stories, the tapestry of faith. Soft music resumes, a gentle hum of harp and choir, as the camera fades into a long, dimly lit corridor. Golden light flickers across walls draped in magnificent tapestries, each one alive with movement and color. The viewer steps into a world woven by devotion, where thread and faith intertwine to tell stories that words cannot. The lens glides slowly along the first tapestry, a vast scene of the resurrection. Created from the designs of Raphael himself, Christ rises from the tomb in a blaze of gold and crimson. Soldiers scatter in awe, and the folds of fabric shimmer like liquid light. The woven texture captures every detail, a miracle of artistry created not with brush and paint, but with countless threads of silk, wool, and gold. As the camera moves closer, the richness of the material becomes mesmerizing. Fibers glint in the soft glow. Shadows ripple as if the figures breathe. The tapestry seems to pulse with life, carrying both the fragility of fabric and the permanence of faith. The air is hushed. Even footsteps sound distant, softened by centuries of reverence. The film transitions between different masterpieces, scenes of the Nativity, the miraculous draught of fishes, and the Acts of the Apostles, each tapestry vast and radiant, stretching across walls like living scripture. Visitors walk quietly, tracing the stories with their eyes, their expressions filled with quiet wonder. Intercut shots reveal the unseen world behind this beauty. Renaissance weavers at their looms, hands moving with patience and precision. The camera lingers on golden thread spools spinning in candlelight, symbolizing human devotion turned into creation. The music swells softly as the lens glides to the end of the hall, capturing the warm interplay of light and fabric. The entire space glows like the inside of a cathedral made not of stone, but of color and thread. The final shot focuses on a single loose strand, illuminated by sunlight, delicate yet enduring, representing the faith that binds generations together. A line fades in gently over the image, woven in golden devotion, every thread a prayer, every story eternal. As the light dims, the scene transitions to darkness, the stillness before revelation, preparing to unveil the most sacred vision of all, the Sistine Miracle. The music fades to a near whisper, the screen darkens, and then silence. A slow fade-in reveals a narrow corridor, dimly lit, as visitors move in hushed reverence. The camera follows them through the final doorway, and suddenly the world opens. The Sistine Chapel fills the frame, vast, radiant, eternal. The first thing the viewer sees is light, soft, celestial, filtering through high windows and spilling across the walls. Then, as the camera tilts upward, the ceiling comes alive. Michelangelo's masterpiece unfolds like the heavens themselves, figures of angels, prophets, and humans suspended in motion, bound together in divine geometry. The music swells, a single, rising note of choir and strings as the camera glides beneath the creation of Adam. Two hands reach across the void, the hand of God, powerful and calm, the hand of man, yearning and alive. In that fragile space between their fingers, the spark of life seems to shimmer, a symbol of humanity's eternal link to the divine. The lens drifts across the vast ceiling, revealing the story of Genesis, the separation of light and darkness, the creation of the sun and moon, the fall of man, the flood. Every panel feels like a world in itself, every brushstroke charged with divine emotion and human struggle. The colors, deep blues, radiant golds, and flesh tones glowing under soft light, seem to breathe. Slowly, the camera descends to the walls below, where the Last Judgment commands the altar. Christ stands at the center, radiant and solemn, surrounded by a storm of souls, the saved ascending toward light, the lost descending into shadow. The figures twist and reach, caught between hope and despair. The sheer scale of the vision feels overwhelming, humbling, magnificent. Visitors stand motionless beneath the ceiling, heads tilted upward, their eyes reflecting the glow of 500 years of genius. Some clasp their hands, others simply stare, silent and still, their faces filled with awe. The music grows richer, choirs rising, strings trembling, then softens again, leaving only the echo of breath and wonder. The camera lingers on a final shot of the ceiling, God's hand reaching toward humanity, as the light slowly shifts, turning the frescoes from gold to pale blue. The divine becomes human, the human becomes eternal. A single line fades onto the screen. In this room, man reached toward heaven and touched eternity. The image fades to black, leaving the lingering echo of a choir, and the feeling of standing in the presence of the sublime. The screen fades in from black. The grand echoes of the Sistine Chapel give way to stillness, a quiet hum, the gentle rustle of brushes, the soft ticking of time. Morning light filters through high windows into a small, hidden room deep within the Vatican Museums. Here, away from the crowds, art continues to breathe, cared for by unseen hands. The camera focuses on a restorer, bent carefully over a centuries-old fresco. A small brush moves with surgical precision, sweeping away dust no one else would ever notice. Each touch is an act of reverence, a silent conversation with history. The soundscape is delicate, the scrape of a tool, the faint flutter of paper, the soft rhythm of breath. Cut to another scene, archivists turning the fragile pages of illuminated manuscripts, their gloves gliding over letters of gold and lapis lazuli. Nearby, a conservator studies ancient pigments beneath a microscope, the colors of time revealed anew. Every motion is deliberate, almost sacred, as if the past itself were whispering through their hands. The film moves through workshops filled with quiet concentration, brushes soaking in jars of water, fragments of sculpture laid carefully on velvet cloth, and scholars sketching the contours of forgotten masterpieces. The camera glides across their faces, eyes steady, calm, devoted. These are the guardians of memory, keeping alive the spirit of creation that began centuries ago. The music, soft piano and cello, begins to rise. The tone is tender, intimate, full of gratitude. The camera pans through empty galleries now resting after the day's visitors have gone. The silence feels alive, a silence not of emptiness, but of presence. In the final moments, the camera lingers on a single frame, a candle flickering beside a marble Madonna, her face serene, eternal. A ray of light passes over her cheek as if blessing the room, a reminder that the work of preservation is itself a form of devotion. A single line fades onto the screen, behind every masterpiece, a heartbeat, quiet, unseen, everlasting. The music fades, leaving only the soft echo of footsteps and the feeling that even in silence, the museum speaks. The screen slowly brightens as the camera emerges from the museum's interior, into the golden light of late afternoon. The Vatican's domes and rooftops glow warmly, casting long shadows across the cobblestone streets. Visitors step out into the open air, their faces illuminated by the soft, lingering sun. Some pause, glancing back at the bronze doors through which they entered. As if carrying a piece of the museum with them, the lens sweeps upward, capturing the majestic dome of St. Peter's Basilica, towering over the city as it has for centuries. Sunlight glints off the golden details, echoing the brilliance found inside frescoes, sculptures, and tapestries, all connected by the unbroken thread of human creativity. The music swells, rich and reverent, carrying a sense of hope, and timelessness. Slow motion shots follow departing visitors, a child holding a parent's hand, an artist sketching in their notebook, a pilgrim crossing themselves in quiet gratitude. Each figure embodies the museum's living legacy, art not merely preserved, but experienced, reflected upon, and carried forward into the world. The camera glides across the exterior courtyards, fountains, and statues, catching flecks of sunlight glimmering on marble, each reflecting the same devotion that brought these works into being. The music softens as the day begins to fade, leaving behind a calm, contemplative serenity. A wide aerial shot captures Vatican City in its entirety, bathed in golden hues, the dome, the gardens, and the museum forming a mosaic of human history, faith, and artistry. It is a place where the past and present converge, where every stone and every brushstroke tells a story of eternal beauty. Finally, the camera settles on the bronze doors, now closed, yet symbolic of the journey just experienced. A closing line appears gracefully on screen. The Vatican Museums, where art becomes faith, and faith becomes eternal. The music fades into gentle echoes, leaving viewers with a lingering sense of awe, reflection, and the quiet understanding that they have witnessed something timeless. a world where human genius and divine inspiration meet.